Hey guys, Robbie here from CrossFit South Bend. Today we're going to try to answer the question, which fats are healthy? This is going to be part one of a multi-part series where we explain to you which fats are healthy. There's a lot of info here, but we're just going to try to give you the basics today and then maybe elaborate a little bit more in the future. So you might look at that question initially and think, which fats are healthy? Isn't that some type of paradox or oxymoron? If you have been led to believe what we've been told over the past 30, 40 years about fats, you would think there is no healthy fat. Fats are just unhealthy. But of course, like many things about conventional nutrition and wisdom, that's just simply not true. There are lots of healthy fats. So today we're going to talk about which fats are healthy, two in particular. And then in the next series, we'll talk about another couple types of healthy fats. So there are four main types of fats that for our purposes we're going to worry about. For each one of these, there are many different, further categories like long chain saturated fatty acids and short chain and all that different stuff. But for our purposes today, we just need to think about four different types. So there's saturated fat, monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fats, and trans fats, which in many cases, trans fats just are partially hydrogenated versions of polyunsaturated fat. So let's go through these and kind of figure out what does conventional wisdom tell us about these things. Conventional wisdom typically says, these are bad, these are good, and these are bad. So we're going to focus on the two today that conventional wisdom says are good, and we're going to try to figure out, is the conventional wisdom about those fats in fact right? And this is one of those places where I can actually happily say, at least for monounsaturated fats, yes, the conventional wisdom about monounsaturated fats is absolutely right. There's not too much that every kind of food faction agrees on, whether it's veganism or paleo or Michael Pollan or all these different kind of food groups agree on, American Heart Association, but pretty much everyone agrees that monounsaturated fats are healthy, and they are absolutely 100% right. These are fantastically healthy for you. And these are things that you're going to recognize. These are things like olives and the oil that comes from olives, olive oil, which we all know and love, avocados and avocado oil, macadamia nuts and macadamia nut oil. These are all fantastically healthy for you. You shouldn't be afraid to have these, even though, olive oil, if you look on the back of the nutrition facts of the canister of olive oil, it's going to say it's got quite a bit of fat calories in it. That's of course not going to be the same type of fat that's going to do metabolic damage to your body that, say, the back of a mayo jar would be. So, it's important to keep in mind that the type of fat matters, and even if the calories in a few dollops of olive oil matches the same calories that you would get from, say, something like a trans fat laden mayo, it's still going to be quite a bit healthier for you to have the olive oil than the trans fat laden mayo. So in general, monounsaturated fats, pretty much everyone agrees these things are healthy, and you guys should feel free to consume those and have some healthy fats with your quality protein and your quality produce whenever you're having a meal. Now, when it comes to polyunsaturated fats, it gets a bit more interesting, a bit more complicated. So there are different types of polyunsaturated fats. There are omega-3 fats, omega-6 fats. You guys have probably heard about these. There are also omega-9 fats. For today, we're just going to focus on two particular types, omega-3 fats and omega-6 fats. Now, like I said, conventional wisdom tends to hold that polyunsaturated fats are 100% healthy, especially when you would replace something like saturated fats or trans fats with polyunsaturated fats. The truth is a little bit more nuanced, though. So let's kind of start out, make sure that we have an understanding of, a little bit of a basic understanding about the difference between omega-3 fats and omega-6 fats. Now, this is a broad generalization. This isn't, going down to every single minor detail, but generally, omega-3 fats are anti-inflammatory. Inflammation, remember, is your body's sort of emergency response to a sprained ankle, to chronic stress, to lack of sleep, poor diet, when you get a cold, and when you're chronically and systemically inflamed, a lot of bad health things happen. Omega-3 fats generally are anti-inflammatory, meaning that they help calm down the inflammation in your body so it's not happening all the time and everywhere. So that's a good thing. So, by and large, we want to try to consume omega-3 fats. Now, omega-3 fats you're going to get from things like wild-caught fish and seafood. That's going to be your main source. You can get a little bit from something like grass-fed beef. Conventional beef really is going to have none, or almost none, whereas grass-fed beef is going to have quite a bit relative to conventional beef, but still nowhere near as much as wild-caught fish. Fish oil. So fish oil has become really popular in, the past 10 years, I'd say, as something that's very healthy for us. Fish oil can be healthy. What we want to kind of keep in mind, though, is that you want to be careful with mega doses of anything. And a lot of what people are taking today with fish oil tend to be these kind of super physiological doses of EPA and DHA, which are the main kind of active omega-3 fatty acids in your body, the main ones that contribute to health. In general, as long as someone is okay with fish and can eat fish, I would strongly recommend any day of the week someone consume wild-caught fish and seafood over just a tablespoon of fish oil. There's a lot of other nutrients in fish that are healthy for you, and they don't contain these super physiological doses of omega-3 fats. Omega-3 fats can be healthy and anti-inflammatory at certain levels, but when you get too much of anything, in this case omega-3 fats, it can be potentially problematic. Furthermore, most studies have shown that just real whole fish consumption tends to give more benefits health-wise than just fish oil supplementation. What about flaxseed and flaxseed oil? So you may have heard about this from different health food stores or certain friends of yours that might be vegans or vegetarians. People say, oh, I get my omega-3s from flaxseed and flaxseed oil. The problem is flaxseed and flaxseed oil contain a type of omega-3 fat called alpha-linoleic acid. This type of omega-3 is poorly converted in our body into EPA and DHA, which are the two main omega-3 fatty acids that you would want to get from wild-caught fish and wild-caught seafood. You would need to drink bottles, and I don't recommend this by any means. You would need to drink bottles of flaxseed oil to get the health benefits that you can get just from one, 6-ounce salmon fillet or something like that. So in general, unless you just absolutely cannot consume fish or fish oil for whatever reason, I would not recommend getting your omega-3s primarily from flaxseed and flaxseed oil. Now let's talk a little bit about omega-6 fats. Now, both of these fats are essential fatty acids. What does that mean? That means that we cannot manufacture them in our own body. We need to get them from the diet, and they are necessary for our bodies to function. However, the amount of omega-6 fats that we consume today generally tend to be pro-inflammatory. So while omega-6 fats are absolutely needed in certain small quantities for our body to function, the amount that we consume today is just incredibly high, and it contributes to systemic and chronic inflammation. So omega-6 fats are generally pro-inflammatory. Where do we get omega-6 fats from? Wheat, corn, soy, these kind of staple crops that make up a large portion of what we eat today. If you look at almost any food in the grocery store, it's going to have some version of these in it. And vegetable oils. These are the big offenders here. Most restaurants have started cooking with vegetable oils, things like canola oil, cottonseed oil, grapeseed oil. If you use like Pam at home or something like that, that's basically vegetable oil with a couple of exceptions. And these are major contributors to inflammation. So we want to really try to cut down on our consumption of these things, and in particular, vegetable oils. In particular, the main thing we really want to focus on when it comes to omega-3s versus omega-6s is the balance between the two. There's a healthy ratio, there's a healthy balance that you should have in your body. An ideal ratio for omega-3 to omega-6 fats is 1:1 or 1:3, meaning that you should have some sort of even balance, or maybe slightly a little bit more omega-6s in sort of your body than omega-3s, but it's really, they should be pretty close in balance. However, most Americans are in the 1:10 to 1:20 range. Some people have said even as high as 1:40 for really severely inflamed people. Why is this? Two main reasons. One reason is that by and large, Americans don't eat anywhere near enough seafood. especially when you compare Americans to other cultures. If we talk about Midwesterners, where we are, it's even less because most people haven't had really good prepared fish. So we don't eat enough fish and seafood, so we're very low in omega-3. And then in addition to that, to add insult to injury, we consume way too much vegetable oils in the forms of fast food, eating out at restaurants, processed food, stuff like that. This imbalanced ratio leads to lots and lots and lots of systemic inflammation in your body. So how do you fix this? How do you get this ratio back to where you want it? Number one step, most important step, cut down on the omega-6 fats. Take vegetable oils out, change that out for olive oil, avocado oil. We'll talk about cooking with those in just a second. And try to minimize your consumption of processed foods, fast foods, eating out too much, things like that. Second route to fixing this is to start eating more generally anti-inflammatory omega-3 healthy fats. These are going to be things like wild-caught fish and seafood. So try to up your consumption of those things. It's not necessarily going to be the best thing in the world to take mega doses of fish oil to try to correct this. Try to minimize your consumption of vegetable oils and increase your consumption of wild-caught fish. And that will do a tremendous amount to help you feel better, less inflamed, and to make you overall healthier. Now, a question that I get a lot is, should I cook with these fats? Are these fats healthy to cook with? We'll talk about this more in the next part of the series, especially as regards as it relates to saturated fats and trans fats. But in general, yes, monounsaturated fats you can cook with olive oil and avocado oil. Avocado oil has a pretty high smoke point, and olive oil has lots of antioxidants in it that allows it to resist the breakdown that comes from being exposed to light, heat, and air during cooking, which can oxidize an oil. There are a lot of people out there who you hear say, oh, olive oil is a monounsaturated fat, don't cook with that. In general, I think that's really overreacting. I think olive oil and avocado oil are perfectly fine to cook with. Polyunsaturated fats, I would never recommend using for cooking. I would really try to avoid as much as possible. If you're out at a restaurant, when you're having a celebration and that's the best you can do, go for that if you have to. But in general, while you're at home, avoid polyunsaturated fats in the form of vegetable oils as your way of cooking. These oxidize, meaning that they break down very, very, very quickly when exposed to light, heat, and air. Most of you guys are going to recognize something like this from olive oil containers. The reason why they put olive oil in dark glass bottles or in aluminum tins is because the oil breaks down when exposed to light, heat, and air. Now, olive oil is much more resilient than vegetable oils, and these aren't even stored in these dark glass bottles most of the time, or these tins. So these tend to break down much, much, much quicker, especially when exposed to light, heat, and air. And when they break down, they develop harmful compounds that can lead to inflammation in your body. So generally avoid these outside of whole food form. Meaning, we get some omega-6 fats in, dark-skinned chicken, in certain types of nuts, things like that. You really shouldn't worry too much about those omega-6 fats, but worry about the vegetable oils of the wheat, corn, and soy. That we really want to try to cut down on. Okay, so final thoughts here. In general, the conventional wisdom about monounsaturated fats, absolutely right. They're totally healthy. Feel free to cook with olive oil and avocado oil. Feel free to have them in macadamia nuts or olives or avocados with your meals. Polyunsaturated fats, again, the conventional wisdom is that these are healthy and healthier than saturated fats. We'll talk about that more in the next piece. But polyunsaturated fats can be healthy if they are from the right source, they're the right type, and they're kept in balance. Again, we want to try to keep this balance of omega-3 to omega-6s by upping our consumption of wild-caught fish and seafood and decreasing our consumption of things like wheat, corn, soy, processed foods, vegetable oils, fast foods, and eating out at restaurants multiple times per week. All right, guys, so I hope you found this video helpful. This is Robbie from CrossFit South Bend signing off. See you guys next time.